How surprising is this recent slump that the Warriors have been on? How surprising is that to you?
Not surprising at all. I think Klay Thompson giving us a soundbite once every 3 years is more surprising than the team sort of going through it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, guys, when you have a team that's on its run to go to its fifth straight NBA final, the large part of it is basically its core minus Kevin Durant, and you're trying to win your third straight title. I go back and look at history. When you look at the Bulls and their championship runs, the third year was the toughest. The Lakers in the Shaq and Kobe era, 2002, they were on fumes. I just think it's hard to sustain this level of effort, concentration, and just interest. Like, we're in the doldrums of the season now. Usually you get a spark at different points of the year. At some point, it was Boogie Cousins coming back. At the beginning of the year, it was just these guys coming back together. Now they're looking at the calendar and saying the playoffs are in 5 weeks. This is what we're gearing up for. And I think also, guys, part of it, they have two liabilities. One is DeMarcus Cousins on defense, and the other one is possibly Draymond Green on offense.
Yes.
Because he can no longer shoot, and he's no longer being aggressive in terms of driving to the basket to set up other guys. Before, you would see him drive to the basket on plays and draw defense. Now, he doesn't even do that. He just waits around for the dribble handoff, and I think that's something that he's going to have to sort of adjust. They're going to have to adjust, maybe not play Boogie Cousins as much in the playoffs because their margin for error is thinner, and teams are now catching up to the way that they play.
The point you made about Draymond, I mean, that's how the game ended last night. I mean, they don't have to be three hunting on this play. There's 20 seconds left. They're down 3. Steph has doubled the entire time up the court, and look, Draymond. You're totally right. It's like, I got the ball, let me give it right back to you. It's like the kid on offense on that play. He looked like the kid in high school that doesn't usually play and got the ball. It's like, where's the best guy?
Yeah, well, he was 0 for 3 at that point. They weren't good from three-point land, and he shot an air ball on one also.
Right.
So when you shoot an air ball from three-point land and they throw it to you in a critical situation, you're looking to hand off. I think your point about, because we've seen players go in and out of shooting, but Draymond used to be more athletic and drive to the bucket. And that's where I think that his injury to his toe, he's got a serious toe injury that he's been battling all season. And that's what takes away some of that athleticism. That's what takes away him being a real triple threat, that if he could pump fake and get into the lane, he still could create because he's a great passer. So this team, we can say, oh, you might be bored. Yeah, because the Bulls, that third repeat, I think they lost to a Timberwolves team during the regular season. We know other teams that tried to three-peat. Yeah, there were awful losses during the regular season. But this team, of the last 5 teams, is not the best team. So I think that in itself that they would struggle. Bench depth, they're not as strong. Livingston is not playing as well. Iggy not playing as well. Draymond, you talked about not shooting the ball as well. I think he's averaging 7 points a game.
Draymond, yes.
Yeah, 7 points a game.
14, 10, and 8 was their 73-win season for Draymond. 7, 7, and 7 is this season for Draymond, and the percentages are killers across the board. And your point on the bench, see, they have the second lowest scoring bench in basketball. Now, I would be a lot more concerned or legitimately concerned about the Warriors if I hadn't seen Friday night. Friday night, it's like, oh, there's a big game, team trying to chase us. We're going to whoop you in the first half, win the game at halftime, and coast home. But then on Sunday comes along, and they try to sleepwalk against one of the 2 worst teams of basketball, and they get beat. But I want to go back to your original point you said about DeMarcus Cousins. Would the Warriors right now be better without DeMarcus Cousins on the team?
I don't know if they'd be better. They wouldn't be as talented, and I think they wouldn't be as diverse, because I think in playoff basketball, if they have these off-shooting nights where Steph and Claire, 7 for 28 from 3, you can at least diversify your offense enough to throw it down there to a guy and say, okay, you know what, Boogie, get us a couple buckets, spread the offense out, and those scoring drops won't be as prolonged. My problem with Golden State is they don't feel threatened by anybody. They don't feel threatened by Houston. They can lose to Houston on Wednesday night and not care. They whoop Denver every time someone says, oh, here's a statement game against Denver, because they're the team that's chasing you. The only team that they feel remotely sort of worried about is Oklahoma City.
Really?
Yeah, I've talked to players on Golden State. They don't feel Houston is as much of a threat. When you beat a team on their 7th game on their home floor, the fear factor is gone. Oklahoma City, they respect them because they can defend and because you got 2 high-level players in Paul George and Russell Westbrook. But I don't even think they fear them. I just think they respect them more than any other team in the West.
The play of Boogie and Draymond, is that the kind of stuff that changes with we talk about the switch going on and off when the playoffs come? I mean, do you really think this team is going to suddenly get it together in the next 5 weeks?
Well, Draymond, his shooting has gone down drastically since 2016.
He's also not taking shots.
No, he's not taking them, but I think his intensity rises. If you look at their defense, their team defense is not where it should be. But teams are scoring more than they were in 2016. So before, you could have a third quarter rush where you could play 8 tough minutes of defense, put yourself up by 20, and coast the rest of the way. Now you're doing that, and teams are taking the other 20 minutes left in the game, and they're coming back. The fear factor for the Warriors is not there as much as it was before. And yeah, they can turn it on, but sometimes you turn on that switch now, electricity ain't coming on.
Well, and and we've seen that for them in the loss a few days ago or last week where they hit the switch. They, after being down the whole game, took the lead in the third quarter and then lost. And then the other team came back, can't remember exactly what it was, the game before the Celtics game, and lost. And they got blown out by Boston. The number Chris keeps bringing up is the defense. It was a top 5 defense their first 2 championship seasons, top 3 defense actually. Last year was a top 8 defense. This year it's 14th. This year, as far as 5-man lineups in the NBA, all 5-man lineups across all rosters, the Warriors' starting 5 is the fifth worst defensively since Boogie came into the lineup. Like, that is the question. The question is, all right, if in the playoffs Iggy gets back to being Iggy, Draymond steps it up a bit, will they be okay with Boogie on the bench? And more importantly, will Boogie be okay with him being on the bench?
He's going to have to be, because they're going to go to that death lineup.
Yeah. With the original death
lineup with Draymond at the 5 playing the back line. And I think Draymond, you can depend on Draymond bringing it more on defense than you can on any single other entity that's struggling with them right now.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.